Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Winged Dragon of Ra deck profile. So I am really excited for this deck because I love playing around with Ra. This card is absolutely insane, and this deck is so nostalgic. I remember watching Battle City as a kid and seeing Egyptian God Slime and going, oh my god, that card is insane, and I am so excited to get that card printed. And then 20 years passed and it didn't get printed until this year, and when I saw that it was going to get printed, I was like, no way, they're actually going to give us that. And then they gave us a Ghost Rare Ra, and I was like, I have to get one of those. So I finally got mine in the mail, and I'm going to do the deck profile for you guys. I know you guys have been requesting this one like crazy, but I wanted to wait until my Ghost Rare Ra came in so I could finally do this deck profile for you guys. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because it really helps out the channel, especially with cards like this. But anyways guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist, and let's get straight on into this. And we have some awesome rewards over on Patreon for you guys, like getting your name description for every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron. As you notice, I didn't pop this. So let's go ahead and get into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Winged Dragon of Ra, and the only way to play it is to play every single art. And if you have the Ghost Rare, you can play it, but, you know, just for deck profiles. But what this card does is basically, it requires 3 tributes to normal summon this card, and you cannot normal set it. And this card's normal summon cannot be negated. And when normal summon, other cards and effects cannot be activated. And when this card is normal summon, you can pay life points, so you only have 100 left. And this card gains attack and defense equal to the life points amount that you paid. You can pay 1,000 life points to target a monster on the field, and then destroy that monster. That's really, really insanely good. This card is really, really, really good, and I am excited to show you guys this deck. So, then we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode. So you guys got to know that chant by heart in order to use this card to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra, which I do. But what you're going to be doing with this card is it cannot be normal, or cannot be special summoned. You require 3 tributes from either side of the field to normal summon this card to the side of the field. To the side of the field. It cannot be normal summon set. Then shift control of this card to its owner during the end phase of the next turn. And it cannot attack, and your opponent cannot target this card with attacks or by card effects. And you can tribute this card to special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And if you do, its attack and defense become 4,000 each. This card is insanely good, especially at outing crazy boards. This deck is really good at outing crazy boards. We then play a single copy of the Winged Dragon of Ra Immortal Phoenix. Yes, the Immortal Phoenix is in this deck. This card is really, really, really good. You really want this card in the graveyard so you can revive it. Like a phoenix rises from the ashes, you want to bring this card back. But this card must be special summoned by its own effect and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If the Winged Dragon of Ra is sent from the field to the graveyard while this card's in your graveyard, special summon this card, and its effect cannot be activated in response to this card's activation. So it's a speed spell for special summon, and this card is unaffected by other card effects, and you can pay 1,000 life points to send a monster on the field to the graveyard and does not target. And then once per turn during the end phase, send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode from your hand, deck, or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. So basically it locks itself back down and runs through the cycle all over again. So basically it goes the Sphere into the Winged Dragon of Ra into Immortal Phoenix, and then it calms down and it locks itself back down and then goes back through the cycle again, which is pretty cool. We then play 3 copies of the new Guardian Slime. This card is really interesting. I love the artwork of this card, and probably was one of my favorite cards that I pulled in the entire box. That if you take battle or effect damage, keyword effect damage, that will come up later, you can special summon this card from your hand. And during damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can make this card gain defense equal to the attack of the opponent's monster. So basically it makes it so it stalemates and it can't be killed in battle, which is pretty cool. And then it has the ability that if this card is sent from your hand or field to the graveyard, you can add 1 spell card, spell or trap, from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the Winged Dragon of Ra, which can be Ancient Chant, Blaze Cannon, it can be any of the Winged Dragon of Ra, Sun God's Unification. I mean, there's so many cards that you can add in the deck to this effect. We then play 3 copies of Reactor Slime. Reactor Slime is one of my favorite cards that actually got released because it's actually the slime machine that they had that strings used during Battle City, which is pretty cool that actually they made this card into a monster. But what it does is during your main phase, you can activate the effect, special summon 2 slime tokens, Aqua Water, level 1, 500 attack, 500 defense, And also, you cannot normal or special summon monsters for this turn except Divine Beast monsters. Then during the battle phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card to set a Metal Reflect Slime from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and it can be activated this turn to help you go for your Egyptian God Slime, which is really nice to be able to go into that card. We then play some Dangers in this deck, which helps us get extra monsters and draw through the deck, which is a single copy of Danger Nessie. Danger Nessie is really good because it has a really neat effect. All your Dangers share the ability that you reveal them in your hand, and your opponent randomly chooses one card from your entire hand, and then you discard the chosen card. Then if the discarded card was not Danger Nessie, you special summon Danger Nessie, which all of your cards share that same ability, that you special summon them if you're not discarding them. And then they gain an additional effect. And if you do, you draw a card. And if this card is discarded, you get to add a danger card from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good, which is Danger Nessie's particular effect. We then play 2 copies of Danger Mothman, which shares the exact same ability. You reveal it, your opponent picks a card in your hand. If you discarded this card, if you don't discard this card, you special summon it, and then you get to draw a card. And if this card is discarded, then both players draw a card, and if both players discard a card as well, which is pretty good. We then play a single copy of Danger Chupacabra, that if this card is discarded, then you get to target a danger monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Also, it's a level 4 that helps us go into the rank 4s. Danger Jackalope. Jackalope has a really neat effect that lets you special summon one danger monster in your deck if this card is discarded by its effect. And then Danger Tatsunoko. Tatsunoko basically special summons itself regardless. If this card is discarded, you special summon it. If they pick it, then you special summon it and draw a card. The only downside is if it's discarded, you don't get to draw the card. We then play 3 copies of Summoner Monk, which is really pivotal to this deck. It's super helpful in this deck to be able to summon out the Summoner Monk, because you have a lot of different targets to actually summon off the copy of Summoner Monk, because you can discard any spell, which we have plenty of spells in this deck, to discard to the graveyard to be able to special summon out one of our many awesome monsters that we have, including Merrick's own now unlimited Machiora the Destructor. This card was previously banned up until the previous list. We all knew it was coming off the list because they eroded it in the OCG and they eroded it in the TCG. It has to leave the monster zone now, and if it leaves the monster zone, then you can activate one set trap card the turn this card was sent to the graveyard from the monster zone. So there's a really cool interaction between the Reflect Slime, Metal Reflect Slime, that if you have Metal Reflect Slime in your hand and you open up this card, then all you have to do is basically normal summon Summoner Monk, discard a spell, summon Machiora the Destructor, and then link them away for a copy of Cross Sheep, and then you get to activate the copy of Metal Reflect Slime, and then summon out your copy of Egyptian God Slime to your side of the field, which can help you get into some really nice, crazy plays in this deck. It's super helpful to be able to go into those plays, and then you get also revivals off your copy of Cross Sheep, which is really nice for this deck. We then play a single copy of Perform Age Trick Clown for the last monster. The other way to go about it is to use the copy of Summoner Monk with the copy of Trick Clown, link them together or make an XZs with them, but if you take effect damage and you have Guardian Slime in your hand, then you can special summon out your copy of Guardian Slime from your hand and then go into Egyptian God Slime. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. Let's do that very gently. So, for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is really pivotal in this deck and is actually searchable and a key card in the deck with our copy of Millennium Revelation. We then play a single copy of Raigeki, which can help us out a lot in this deck to be able to just board wipe our opponent and be able to go in for game. This card's really helpful. We then play a single copy of Foolish Burial, just so we can send from our deck to the graveyard the Immortal Phoenix. It's really important to get Immortal Phoenix to the graveyard as quickly as possible, so using this card is really pivotal. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave just stops hand traps while we're trying to go off. One copy of Double or Nothing. Yes, I did sneak in Double or Nothing into this deck because you can really easily just go for a copy of Utopia Double and make a really insane board where you normal summon out the copy of Summoner Monk and then use that with the Trick Clown play to go into your copy of Cross Sheep. Trick Clown will revive itself, and so will the Summoner Monk off the Cross Sheep, overlay them both into Utopia Double, detach a material, search Double or Nothing, and then go for game with that particular play. And then if you have a copy of Guardian Slime, you can also go into Egyptian God Slime and in with a crazy board. We then play 2 copies of Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires is helpful in the deck because the Pot of Desires just helps us dig through the deck because there's not a particular card that we care if it gets banished because we have multiples of everything. We then play for the raw fields, or the raw, like, new cards is Blaze Cannon. Blaze Cannon literally makes Raw a god. This card is insane, and I love this card. What this card does is it's always treated as a Blaze Accelerator, so shout out to Payne down in the comments. I know you're going to be here for this one, so definitely comment out in there. You technically got Volcanic support. We're still waiting on some other stuff, but, you know, it's a step in the right direction. You literally got a godly upgrade. So, what this card does is it basically makes Raw a god, which is insanely cool. Because what this card does is it activates, this activation cannot be negated, and you can only activate this while you control the Winged Dragon of Ra gains the following effects. This card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. It's unaffected by everything. When it attacks involving a monster, you contribute any number of other monsters on your side of the field that did not declare an attack this turn, and then Raw gains the attack of those monsters you tributed. And then after damage calculation, if this card attacked, you just send all monsters your opponent controls to the graveyard, which was actually something that happened in Battle City during the finals, I think, against Joey. They attacked, and this card just sent everything to the graveyard, but they didn't have Blaze Cannon. It was just a built-in effect of Raw. We then play a single copy of Millennium Revelation. Millennium Revelation lets you send a Divine Beast monster from your hand to your graveyard to add a monster reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And then you can send this card, face-up card, to the graveyard, and this turn you can special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from your graveyard with a monster reborn, ignoring its summoning condition. So it searches the monster reborn by discarding the Ra, and it completely sets up bringing Ra back from the graveyard, which is pretty cool. It's actually bringing out the iconic plays that Merrick did during Battle City. We then play 3 copies of Ancient Champ, which is the new awesome card. This card is probably one of the coolest things that they released. It lets you add a Winged Dragon of Ra from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and if you do, you contribute summon 1 monster during your main phase in addition to your normal summoner set. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, and if you tribute summon the Winged Dragon of Ra this turn, its original attack and defense become the original attack and defense of the tributed monsters. You always want to summon Ra this way because it gets you so much card advantage. 2 copies of Mound of the Bound Creator, which makes it so your Ra cannot be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects, and if a level 10 or higher monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, then the player who controlled the destroyed monster takes 1,000 points of damage as well, which helps us get that extra burn damage, and also has a really cool effect that if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, then you can add a Divine Beast monster from your deck to your hand. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we are going to be playing 2 copies of Sun God, or a copy of Sun God Unification and a Metal Reflect Slime. Yeah, as you can tell, I was really excited about this. I've actually had this Metal Reflect Slime since I was a kid. I got this back when the Phantom Darkness actually released. I've had this card a long time. But what this card does basically is it summons itself as a trap monster, and then you tribute it for Egyptian God Slime. And Sun God Unification is really crazy. That if you control a monster, whose original name is the Winged Dragon of Ra, you can activate this card the turn it was set, and then during the main phase you can pay life points, so you only have 100 left. Special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra. You can, during your main phase, special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra you control gains the attack and events equal to the amount of life points you paid, even if it leaves the field, and then once per turn, you contribute the Winged Dragon of Ra, and then gain life points equal to the attack of that monster on the field, and you cannot activate both of these effects in a chain. So basically, you gain all the life points back that you were losing from Ra. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Egyptian God Slime. You really only need 2 unless you're playing Extravagance. What this card does is you basically send an Aqua monster that is level 10, that has 0 attack from your side of the field to the graveyard, which is the Metal Reflect Slime, or the Egyptian, or the copy of Guardian Slime from your field to this graveyard, and this card can be treated as a 1 or 3 tributes for the tribute summon of a monster, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent's monsters cannot target for attacks other monsters except this one, which is pretty cool. I really like this card. It's an overall amazing card. We then play a single copy of Juggernaut Levy, because you can make Juggernaut Levy sometimes and helps you push for game in some instances. You don't make it all the time, but it's there just in case. Rail Cannon Gustav Max, because it burns for 2,000. Number 35, probably the craziest tech card that I put in this entire deck, because if you pay down to 100 life points and you only have 100 life points left and your opponent has like 8,000 left, then all your monsters are going to gain 7,900, which can make them huge. and it's really, really, really good to have this card as a card to summon. We then play a single copy of Abyss Dweller just to lock graveyards down, number 60, because it can double the attack of a monster, let you draw 2, discard 1. Utopia Double, which you play a single copy of Utopia Double and a single copy of Utopia, which is super helpful just to get those monsters out on the field to do extra damage to your opponent. Access Code Talker, which is just sometimes summoned out to your side of the field. It's pretty helpful to be able to summon Access Code Talker onto your side of the field. Appaloosa, because you can get additional monster negates. Copy of Unicorn to be able to bounce stuff. Phoenix to pop spells and traps. IP Masquerena to summon Appaloosa on your opponent's turn to make it be able to not be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then Cross Sheep, which is actually one of the most important cards in the extra deck. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is absolutely godly. I love this deck so much. It's so fun to play around with. It's really, really, really insane how much support they actually put into the Egyptian Ra. Like, it is so, so good. It is so fun to play around with, and it's easy to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra over and over again. I hope that they give Slifer and Obelisk this treatment, because this deck is bonkers. Like, this deck is really fun to play around with. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely be on the lookout for live duels with this deck, because they are coming. Don't worry. And don't forget to hit that bell on there and check out the Patreon, because it really helps out the channel so we can build decks like this one, especially with this insane Ghost Rare. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.